Good day everybody, and welcome to the video about cancer. It took me a while to record this video. I'm kind of aiming to do these videos weekly, but last week at this time there was pretty big wildfires in the area here and we evacuated, and yeah, it was everything a little bit out of schedule, so hence I'm recording this video now. And yeah, somebody asked me to do this video on cancer. I actually appreciate if you guys tell me what you would like to hear, so yeah, I can get inspired by that. And yeah, cancer is like the first water sign that I'm going to be talking about since I started making these archetype videos. Once again, I'm speaking from the perspective of evolutionary astrology, and I find it really interesting that I learn a much more profound perspective about these archetypes through the lens of evolutionary astrology. So I want to say, to explain Cancer more thoroughly, in evolutionary astrology, we see the human being as a soul that chooses to incarnate, right? And this soul actually creates the ego as a means to interact with this third dimensional reality, if we want to call it that. So the ego is actually not a bad thing. It's literally the interface through which the soul interacts with this world. And so the Cancer archetype refers to this ego or this self-image creating certain attachments in order to create a safe environment for the soul to grow. So Cancer is about finding and learning about what gives me internal emotional security. And usually we get internal emotional securities through some kinds of attachments, right? Be that people, be that identities, this is who I am, this is what I like, this is what I do. It can be really anything. It depends then again, you know, where in our chart Cancer lies, which planets are in Cancer. So it can be that we identify with a certain job, with a group of people, with a way of talking, with certain material things. It depends. And so once again, it's about learning emotional security, and we do this through attachments. There is, however, the need to release attachments along the journey. So I really like this metaphor of the Cancer. The Cancer is represented by the crab, the animal, the crab, right? And so the crab is inside extremely soft, extremely tender, very, very sensitive inside. But the outside is very tough, hard, protective. And every once in a while, this crab needs to shed its shell so that it can grow. So if the shell represents our attachments, we need to shed these attachments. So, you know, as a baby, we are being breastfed. So at some point, we need to stop being breastfed. I forgot what the word is. Weaning, exactly. The weaning process takes place. And then we might have a pacifier, and eventually we let go of that. And so it goes through life. And then as adults, obviously, we also like accumulate a variety of different attachments that we, if we want to grow as a human being and as a soul that's expressing itself as a human being, we benefit from learning to let go of the different identities, the different attachments we form with this world. Because obviously if we just stay attached to a certain, like, this is who I am, this is what I like, this is what I do, this is the only food I eat. Addictions actually also fall into this category, because anything that gives us a sense of safety, right? So if we don't allow this natural process, and I'm saying allow because I really feel like it's actually a natural process. The process of letting go is natural. It wants to occur. It's more up to us to give it space and to allow it. So if we potentially feel like too scared or too insecure to let go of something, maybe it's not the time yet. Or maybe we need to like find a way to connect more deeply within ourselves, to create this internal stability and safety. And there's nowadays many ways in this world. Honestly, I often come back to therapy. It's why I combine somatic therapy and astrology, because astrology gives us one level of the whole experience, but the internal work is also required. So if we don't feel like safe to let go of something, it might not be the time yet. Remember, it's also a step-by-step process. We don't have to quit smoking from one day to the other if it gives us some kind of, stability and sense of relief. I think we can be very extreme as human beings. And so it's really about, can I allow the process? Can I give it the space and time it needs? But am I willing to let it go? I think there is a fine line between wanting to get rid of it right away and being like, it's all or nothing. If I can't do it now, then fuck it, I'll just keep going. No, it's actually more like, okay, I'm feeling that this thing is not really serving me anymore and I'm struggling to let it go. All right, like, let me open myself up to learn about new possibilities, to be shown another way, to be shown that I can also be without it. What could be the new thing that gives me security? And there's nothing wrong in wanting to feel safe. And I personally really feel and think that as we go on this journey, the things that give us a sense of safety, they actually become more and more wholesome, more and more sustainable, more and more, wholesome, like not so one-pointed. Yeah. So that's the step-by-step process of letting go. And obviously, the growth gets inhibited if we are not releasing the attachments. What happens then is that the shell is becoming too tight, right? And it's like we cannot move anymore. And we feel like maybe that the body starts aching. And we maybe even start becoming agitated and very dissatisfied and grumpy and unhappy. And we can start dressing up this shell in all kinds of different ways. Maybe we dress it up as I'm tough, or I don't give a shit, or I'm actually not shy, I'm not sensitive. So we can actually dress up the shell as quite the opposite of what the deep inside of the Cancer archetype looks like. This is obviously a shadow that I'm talking about. So yes, it seems like timing plays a role, to allow the things to occur in their time. And if we, with the Cancer archetype, manage to allow this shedding process to frequently take place, we allow this deep sensitivity inside of ourselves to become a nurturing force in the world. Obviously within ourselves, because it can flow, it's more open, it can flow more freely. And then at the same time, so we are nurturing ourselves. This is a lot what this Cancer archetype is also about, learning to become our own mother. But Cancer refers to the mother archetype. And as we do this, we naturally become this nurturing force in the world, which is such a beautiful medicine. If you've been next to a Cancer person who is allowing this shedding process, oh my God, they are like so beautiful to be around, So I'm going to speak another little bit about a shadow of Cancer, which I have learned actually from Stephen Forrest. I heard about this and I find it interesting, and I believe I've observed it in some Cancer people, is when we don't allow this shedding of our shell, then, as I mentioned, it still like oozes. The energy is still there, and there's still growth that wants to happen. And what can happen then is that we kind of overcompensate for the times where we didn't open up. We can feel it's like boiling, or it's in there. The water is overflowing, the juice is overflowing, the longing to grow is overflowing. And so we might throw ourselves into situations that that give us this like kind of shocking experiences of opening up. Like I'm thinking of, you know, like some kind of workshops nowadays that you can do where, or like shock therapy, you know, something that's very confronting. And so the cancer person might put themselves into an environment like this and kind of rip the shell off, which, yes, in a sense opens them up, but also makes them very vulnerable and extremely tender and tends to overwhelm them. This is also kind of a shadow expression of cancer, that we feel like the shell is too tight and then we just need to rip it off, and then we're like, oh my God, it's too much. So this is where the importance of timing comes in again, to increasingly learn to be in tune with ourselves and with our internal needs. It's a lot about needs, emotional needs. And I'm coming back to the nurturing, like really becoming our own inner mother, because, you know, in an, I say, quote unquote, ideal world, the mother is so in tune with her baby and always, like, I'm idealizing, right? Always knows what the baby needs and is feeling it and meeting the emotional needs of the baby. And this is kind of the journey with cancer that we are on as a human being, as a soul human being, to become this mother for ourselves, to really learn to read our own needs and meet them accordingly. Yep. I'm just going to check my notes if there's anything I missed, but I feel like it's, it's pretty much what I wanted to say. So I'm curious how this lands. If you would like to book a reading, of course, go ahead, like contact me through the link in the description below. I'm very curious to meet all the souls who want to receive a reading. And yes, I wish you a good day and speak to you through the camera again soon. Thank you and bye.